There's a lot to like in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the newest offering from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's definitely not without its flaws. We're here to take a look at what worked and what might have worked a little better. These are the 5 best and 5 worst things about Ant-Man and the Wasp. Best Dad of the Year. Some of the best moments in the film are when Paul Rudd's Scott Lang is hanging out with his young daughter Cassie, played by Abby Ryder Fortson. The chemistry between Paul Rudd and Fortson is exceptional, with Fortson bantering with Rudd like a seasoned professional. It's hard to believe the two aren't actually father and daughter in real life, and with a relationship this strong to anchor the film, everything else comes together beautifully. Worst previously on Ant-Man. Ant-Man and the Wasp is a sequel to Ant-Man, as well as Captain America: Civil War, so there's a lot of story to fill viewers in on. Unfortunately, the first several minutes of Ant-Man and the Wasp are bogged down by clumsy exposition. From Hank and Hope sitting down to remember the plot of Ant-Man, to Randall Park's Jimmy Woo rehashing the plot of Civil War and Age of Ultron, it's a lot of rehashing from a writing team that is capable of more interesting things. Best Ghost isn't transparent. Hannah John Common's Ghost doesn't even seem to realize she's a villain, and that's because her motivation is pretty simple: survive. Her quantum powers are tearing her body apart, and she doesn't have long to live. In putting our heroes up against a villain whose goal isn't world domination but simple survival, the film feels fresh and distinct from the 19 MCU outings that precede it.
Who is
the bad guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp? We have opponents, but not necessarily villains.
Worst, they can't all be winners. On the other hand, Walton Goggins appears in the film as a shady black market tech dealer named Sonny Birch, and the role is everything Ghost isn't. While Ghost has a compelling backstory and clearly defined personality, Birch is about as bland as they come. The film is saved by Ghost's antagonistic menace, but it's hard not to regret seeing Walton Goggins wasted in a forgettable role. Best, Michael Peña steals the show. The best heist in the original Ant-Man isn't Scott breaking into Hank's house. It's Michael Peña's Luis stealing the show. He shines every time he's on screen.
You got their credentials?
He's in the system.
I'm in the system.
In the system.
The system?
Peña is once again a standout in the film, packed with memorable actors. His rapport with Michael Douglas's Hank Pym is still delightfully awkward, and they even managed to work in one of his sloppily narrated stories.
I first met Scotty in Cell Block D, and I was like, I'm Luis. And he says, I'm Scotty, and we're gonna be best friends.
Wherever Ant-Man goes in the future, here's hoping Luis goes with him. Worst, can Janet catch a break? Janet's disappearance prior to the first film pushes Hank into his angry, reclusive state and screws up his relationship with his daughter. Ant-Man and the Wasp has the opportunity to undo this while giving one of the great Marvel characters her MCU due. Instead, it just trades one trope for another, making Janet one of the film's primary MacGuffins. When she finally appears in the end, she gets maybe 5 minutes of screen time. Janet and Michelle Pfeiffer deserves better. Best, low stakes, high reward. Avengers: Infinity War took the MCU to the highest stakes the franchise has ever seen, and came on the heels of an Asgardian apocalypse and a Wakandan revolution. Luckily, Ant-Man and the Wasp gives viewers a bit of a break from the ridiculous tension of the last MCU movie. The fate of the world isn't at stake in this new Ant-Man adventure. At its core, Ant-Man and the Wasp is about the fight to save the lives of 2 people, Ghost and Janet Van Dyne. It's a comparatively small story, but just what MCU fans needed after Infinity War. Worst, time is money. These days, most blockbusters have a runtime of over 2 hours, even though longer isn't necessarily better. With comparatively small stakes and such a simple story to tell, Ant-Man and the Wasp is absolutely a film that would benefit from a shorter runtime. Even the director himself agrees.
I'm very vocal about the Ant-Man movies being under 2 hours.
Unfortunately, it comes in at over 2 hours, longer than the first Ant-Man film, Doctor Strange, and even the first 2 Thor movies. You'd think a movie about shrinking heroes would know that bigger isn't always better. Best, laugh it up. In the past, MCU movies have had a bad habit of incessant quipping. Even the previous Ant-Man movie did it.
It's okay!
As funny as Ant-Man and the Wasp is, there isn't a single important dramatic moment in the film that gets interrupted by a character making a joke or a gag going down. Serious moments are given the time to be taken seriously, and that makes the comedic moments even better. Worst, character matters. The MCU excels at a lot of things, but its best quality might be its ability to take characters and make them grow organically from film to film. Unfortunately, this is Ant-Man and the Wasp's biggest flaw. Scott might grow as a character, but it's literal growth, not emotional. He ends the movie in the same spot he ended in the first Ant-Man, romantically involved with Hope and no longer in immediate trouble with the law. Meanwhile, Hope experiences a significant life event and her mother returning from the quantum realm, but the film never really shows us what this means for her past the initial reunion. Despite the size changing, neither character gets a chance to really change as people. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.